Here we're being asked to use synthetic division to determine whether this binomial here is a factor of this polynomial. So we need to remember what factoring is, what it means for something to be a factor. To be a factor means that we're saying this multiplied by some number is going to give us this. So just as if I wanted to say, is 3 a factor of 12? That's saying, can I multiply 3 by some number and get 12? I can determine that by taking 12 and dividing it by 3. And I get 4 with no remainder. So that means, yes, 3 is a factor of 12. I can multiply 3 times 4 and get 12. So we're going to perform synthetic division and see if when we divide the polynomial by this factor, x minus 3, if there is a remainder or not. If there's no remainder, then that means yes, it is a factor. So to set up our synthetic division problem, let's look at the polynomial and we need to pull out the coefficients. So here it's 1, -2, -5, and then also a +6 as our constant. We also need to make sure that these are in the order from the highest exponent to the smallest and that there's no gaps. The 6 is like 6 times x to the 0 power because x to the 0 power is just 1. So if, for example, this wasn't here, then there would be a gap. There would be nothing with an x to the first power. And so we would have to put that in, 1, and put a 0 here because 0 times anything will give us 0. So you need to fill in that space. But since we don't have any spaces, we're just going to take those coefficients and put them here. And then what goes outside, what we're dividing into this is we look at the factor and we change the sign. So instead of -3, we're going to put a +3. So let's perform synthetic division. The first thing you do is bring down this first number, 1, and then you multiply this by 3. And then you add. -2 plus 3 is 1. And then again, you multiply this by 3. And then you add. -5 plus 3 is -2. And then you multiply -2 by 3. And then you add, and you get 0. So since the remainder is 0, then x minus 3 is a factor. So what is x minus 3 being multiplied by to give us this polynomial? Well, our answer is here underneath this line. What this is telling us are our coefficients, 1, 1, and -2. And then same x, same variable, but our first exponent is 1 less than the highest exponent in our polynomial. So it would be x squared. And then this would be x to the first. And then this would be x to the 0. And then you just put the plus sign here and simplify because we don't need that 1 as our coefficients. We don't need the 1 as our exponent. We don't need the x to the 0 power. So what we have found out is this times this gives us this polynomial.